Hi, my name is Allison Appleby. I am a young adult with a disability, and I'm so excited to be speaking with Good Morning Bolivar on June 10th at 8 a.m. at Jose's with free breakfast. I'm super excited to be there.
Hey everybody, I'm David with Bolivar Live, and yeah, you see what we're laughing and stuff beforehand, but if you only knew, a lot of times we don't know what we're going to talk about, and I get an idea and I tell Dan, just follow along, and he rolls his eyes like...
So we had a subject matter.
But anyway, what we're going to talk about today is a lot of times area businesses that advertise with me, whenever I refer someone to them or someone comes up and says they ate at a restaurant, I always ask them, what was your experience? And so someone called me the other day and asked me about insurance, and they had already talked to Dan on another thing, but when they called me back, I said, hey, how'd your showings go this week? She said it was great. And I said, what's your experience with Dan? And now, he wasn't involved in the conversation, but one of the things she said was he was honest, and even though he might not have got the insurance policy because he knew that we were getting other ones or getting other bids, he was educational. And you and I have talked about this on experience in your office. Mm-hmm. And I know when I've talked to Jamie, which I call her Smiley, she's always been real
which is
good.
An antonym. She does not.
She's always been real good about explaining, because like I told you when I was getting my insurance, Dan, can you stop by? I'm not insurance. I really don't care about it. Just want to write a check and get it taken care of. But you were real educational on it. And at one point we had your stuff here and another company's here, and you told me, David, this policy has more coverage than their policy, and so the pricing's better. But on this policy, you didn't know how they rated it or something. I can't beat that. You were honest, you know, and you don't find that in a lot of people because they're in to sell business and make money. And so that's something I've always told people is, whether he has your business or not, you're going to get educated. Where does that come from? Because you've always been real big on explaining things on the insurance, both on the shows and even when we're talking on the side.
Yeah, that's okay.
You see where I'm going with
Yes.
this now?
So, you know, part of our job and part of our mission statement is to help educate and inform people and help them make the best decision that they can for their circumstance, which means it's not a cookie cutter.
Right.
So one of the things that sometimes gets us in trouble and sometimes people don't like it is, I just want to quote. Well, you know, it really doesn't, you know, we can give you a quote, but you might not be our kind of customer.
Right.
Okay. So we want to spend a lot of time talking to people, trying to get to know them for a number of reasons. One, if there's a claim, we want the expectation met.
Right.
We want to know what we've gone over to be your experience first. So we also want to know, like, we live here, so when we go to the store, we're going to see you.
Right.
Right? So when things happen, and sooner or later,
You want to be able to look them in the eyes.
yeah, it's a thing. And sometimes, you know, we would love everyone's business, and we think we have some things to offer, even if we are 5 or 10% more.
Right.
That justifies it, but that's not for everybody. We truly want to develop a client and get to know them a little bit, and whether that is Jamie, there's one that's getting to know them, or me, or Shay, or we want to get to know that person and what's going on in their circumstance. So it takes a little time. Why are rates going up? Why do you need to do something this way? Why do you need this? I had a client the other day that was calling me about, this is a real life thing. I had a client that had called and said, I'm thinking about dropping my homeowners because doesn't it just cover fire and theft? No, it doesn't, and that's a very inexpensive policy here.
Right.
So we went through and we talked about the coverages, we looked at their windstorm, we looked at what we could do with that, and we happened to look at some other products they have, and you know what? We're able to pay for that homeowner's policy for savings that we were giving them on other things.
Right.
So we want to talk to you about what things do and the consequence of not carrying something. And if that's going to be your decision, it's going to be your decision.
Well, and we've got a show coming up, or it might already played, where you're going to be talking with Beth Appleby about insurance and the cost of it. And she made a comment to me that whenever she's going to show homes, she wants to learn what their expectations are. You know, what are they using it for an investment? Is it going to be a retirement home? So that she knows which direction to go. And that's sort of the same thing you're doing is you need to know a little bit of their background to find out why they're asking these questions or why they're wanting to do this, whether it's a new home, maybe they're looking for bids or something, you know, and so.
Yeah, some of the questions that we ask, you know, sometimes I think people think we're prying, but we're really not. We're looking for value. Like one very, very simple example is knowing if someone has other properties. Because
Right.
we can talk to them about how to make sure their liability covers those other properties for a $20 bill.
Yeah, and it would save them money in the long
Yes,
run.
it will. So we just go through and need to find out about you and want to know about you, and that's kind of our approach. And sometimes it is, hey, we can't help you here, but we can do this over here. And you know, sometimes people take that information and they do something else altogether.
Right.
But we're hoping that we're going to, hopefully we'll win the client and win the relationship. That's our goal.
Well, and that's, you know, it's sort of like my AC guy. He's not the cheapest, but he's good. And if he says, David, we can do this and it'll get you through another year, I believe him.
Right.
You know, and a lot of people just want to replace parts until it's fixed. Well, a lot of people want to sell you as much as they can because they're going to make maybe a commission off it or something.
Well, oftentimes it's the other way around. They minimize the cost
to keep the price down.
By eliminating coverage, and sometimes that's not a very good idea.
Well, and it's apples to apples.
You can't really do that anymore.
Oh, you can't?
It's really hard to do because especially, well, anywhere, policies are different now.
Okay.
It's kind of, in many ways, some policies come like a base model car.
Right.
And some policies come fully loaded.
Fully loaded.
And you can actually put stuff back on the grocery store shelf.
Okay.
And take that great big can of beans and
Right.
get a smaller can.
Right.
So there's really not an apples to apples comparison anymore. Even in auto insurance, it's really not
You
that
have
way.
to read the whole policy to see exactly what it's covered, deductible.
They all look the same. When you look at a homeowner's policy, they kind of all look the same on the front.
Right.
But it's what comes in the pages behind it.
Right.
That is, whether it's us or some other insurance professional, they know and they can talk to you about what the differences are in the policies.
Great. Well, like I've always said in all the shows, you know, one of the things about Priest Insurance is they live here. They've been here 40 years or so. They know what it takes to get back from a storm like Ike. A lot of us have been there and are back. They rebuilt after Ike, and hopefully we don't have to go through that saga again in our lifetime. But knowing your customer and explaining things, educating them is a big part of Priest Insurance, and that's, you know, why I love doing the shows with him, because he explains everything. And Lord knows I'm going to throw an off-the-wall question in there and get an eye roll, but we get through it, and at the end of the day, you know exactly what you're covered on your insurance policy. So whether you use them or not, if you have a question or maybe you want to learn some more about how you can do things, give Priest Insurance a call. The best thing to do is go to their website at priestinsuranceagency.com. fill out the form, email them from there so that you have a returning record on questions asked and answers. So Dan, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
We're gonna head on out. Until next time, I'm David with Bolivar Live. Y'all have a great day, great week. Come see us. God bless, and bye-bye. Video equipment is sponsored by Crystal Beach Decor and More, located at 1959 Highway 87 in Crystal Beach, Texas, and Beachy Beatnik Boutique and Jewelry, located at 970 Surfside and Highway 87 in Crystal Beach, Texas. Thank you to these two businesses for being our 2025 video equipment sponsor for Bolivar Live.